Broadcasting from the center of the universe in Stony Creek, Ontario, Canada. This is the Renovating Life Podcast. With your hosts, Steve Kopac and Dan Carrol. And producer, Hnatyshyn. Follow along on their journey to become real estate entrepreneurs and interview guests that will inspire you to take action in your life. Brought to you by Battlefield Real Estate Investments. Invest in real estate. Invest with Battlefield Real Estate Investments.
And we are live. Welcome to the Renovating Life Podcast. My name is Dan Carrol. With me to the left, the bald and the beautiful, Hnatyshyn is actually how it's pronounced, our producer. Thanks so much. And with us forever and always, the man amongst men himself, Steve Kopac. How you doing, friend?
Not too bad.
I'm pretty pumped, man. We got our first interview lined up.
Yeah,
thanks to
awesome.
you.
Don't piss him off, though, eh? He might fuck you right up.
With a professional record of 13-4, Kyle the Monster Nelson, UFC fighter. Thank you so much for doing this, Kyle. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me on, guys.
Appreciate it. Hey, we've come a long way to get to this point, to interviewing guests. This will be your first one, so hopefully it goes well. But yeah, thanks for driving all the way out. And we know you're from Huntsville, but you train in Stony Creek, right?
Yeah. So I'm down in Stony Creek usually Monday to Friday for training.
Right. Okay. What are you training on? What part of your fight game are you working on here in the Creek?
Definitely everything. When we have a certain fight lined up, we'll critique stuff for a specific opponent. But right now we don't have anything lined up, so we're just improving on every aspect.
Okay. And you're improving on every aspect. What's one part of your game? What's your strength? And I don't think we want to get into your weaknesses. What if your competitors are listening? But what do you figure? You seem like more of a stand-up guy, but you have a strong ground game too.
Yeah, definitely. When I first started training, when I was 14, I focused more on jiu-jitsu. And then when I started coming down here, I started to focus on the Muay Thai and stuff with Carrol. And, at first it was just to get my striking up to the same level as my grappling. But now I think we've gotten to a point where, my striking got better than my grappling. And then we started working on my wrestling. And then it got a little bit better. So it's kind of just trying to make sure we focus on each aspect so that every aspect's getting better at the same time.
Right. Okay. And where are you training now in Stony Creek?
So I train at House of Champions.
House of Champions. Okay. Hey, by the way, cheers, guys. Yeah. We got a sponsor here. One of Kyle's sponsors here.
There we go.
Who are we sponsoring here tonight?
So this is Highlander Brew Co.
Highlander Brew Co. Out of
South River, Ontario. So that's way up north.
South River. That's like the last beer store, liquor store before you get to like North Bay.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Last piece of civilization.
Yeah. I remember we were rushing out to Kapuskasing to do a job once.
Right.
And I said to the guy I'm working with, I'm like, we should stop there. We're not going to make the North Bay beer store. It's like, no, we're going to be fine. We hit fucking construction, didn't have a beer all night. I'm so pissed.
That's a tragedy.
It's a travesty.
Single tier. So you've been fighting since you were 14.
Yeah, so I started training at 14. Again, it was more jiu-jitsu, a little bit of kickboxing, and I started doing jiu-jitsu tournaments right away. Then it wasn't until I was 18 I started doing amateur kickboxing, and then at 19 amateur MMA, and then 20 I turned pro with MMA.
And how old are you now?
29.
29. Okay, so 9 years you've been a professional.
Yeah.
Okay. Who was your inspiration? Like, who thinks, hey, they see two guys killing each other in an octagon and think, I want to do that?
Yeah, so I started when I was 4 years old. I watched Rocky for the first time. So then I was inspired. I wanted to be a boxer. But coming from Huntsville, there wasn't really any boxing or anything like that when I was growing up. So when I was 14, I wanted to start actually getting serious about it. So I started looking for a boxing club. The only thing I found was Muskoka Kickboxing. So I went there, tried it out. And again, it was like 60% jiu-jitsu, 40% kickboxing. And I just started training there when the first season of The Ultimate Fighter came out.
Right.
So it was like 2005.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, that's basically what I'm doing. I'm doing the jiu-jitsu, which is the groundwork, and the kickboxing, which is the stand-up stuff. So, that's just kind of, I fell in love with the UFC and MMA and just started pursuing that.
Right. That show, The Ultimate Fighter, really kind of, I mean, the UFC was known, but it really put it on the map with that show, and I think it inspired a lot of people to get into fighting. And actually, at the time, I mean, the UFC was about mixed martial arts, people specializing in a certain martial art, and now you have people like yourself who are training every aspect. You are a mixed martial artist now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first idea behind the UFC was just to see which martial arts or which martial art was better. So they had, boxers and karate guys and jiu-jitsu guys.
You had Gracie.
Yeah, and they kind of figured out early on that, grapplers, jiu-jitsu, specifically Brazilian jiu-jitsu, was the kind of the best art.
Right.
If you were able to take someone down and control them and choke them, it really showcased that was the best martial art. But yeah, now definitely starting around 2005 when the UFC went mainstream with The Ultimate Fighter, I think that's kind of when we first started seeing, people like me start training in multiple disciplines, not just boxing or kickboxing or jiu-jitsu.
Right.
We started training in a little bit of everything. So now when I was old enough to start fighting MMA, it was kind of the first, era of fully well-rounded mixed martial artists.
Right. You even have a little bit of a mix of entertainment. I know. I think when you look back, you see guys like Tito Ortiz coming in. They had like he's carrying the flags, and they got the pyrotechnics and all that kind of stuff. Right now, all of a sudden, it's a bit of a mix of MMA and WWE a little bit too. Right.
Yeah. There's definitely some guys like Conor McGregor that play up the entertainment aspect outside of it.
Right.
And yeah, sometimes they get pretty extravagant about it and a little bit silly.
Right. So, sorry, I'm dominating the conversation.
No, it's all good
here,
man.
but I want to get.
I didn't fucking study.
I want to get into a little bit of, you started off when you were 14, but do you have a favorite fighter now that you are a professional fighter yourself? It seems kind of weird. Like, do you have I have favorite hockey players. I'm definitely not making the NHL, but you're a professional mixed martial artist. You're fighting in the UFC. Did you have a favorite fighter, and do you still have somebody that inspires you?
Yeah. So when it first started, because I started with The Ultimate Fighter, my first favorite fighter was Diego Sanchez.
Right.
Yeah.
He was from the first season, wasn't he?
Yeah. So what happened was we started watching it, and there was me, my brothers, and my mom, and we all kind of picked like our favorite, who we thought could win and stuff.
Your mom?
Yeah.
Your mom's in
that's
support
awesome.
of this.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Her favorite was Forrest Griffin. So I took a picture with Forrest last time I was in Vegas.
What a fight.
Yeah.
And I had to tell him that my mom loves him and stuff like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
He seems like a pretty cool guy.
Forrest is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, super nice guy. Every day I'd show up, he'd come over and say hi, and we'd talk and stuff. So yeah, super normal, nice guy.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I got a question. Of all the fighters that you've met so far, who shocked you the most because they were down to earth?
Maybe Connor.
Oh yeah,
I was expecting Connor. I mean, I knew he couldn't be
like an asshole all the
How
time.
can you be at that level all the time?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. So definitely Connor. I didn't get to talk to him for a long time, but I got to talk to him for a couple minutes, and yeah, definitely. A lot nicer, a lot more down to earth, and a lot less brash. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought he was 100% crazy all the time.
I'm sure if you went out drinking with him or something
for
like
sure.
that,
He's an Irishman.
He's all hopped up on the
Yeah.
proper 12.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I think one of the things, I guess, going back to like talking about the Ultimate Fighter show, it really exposes a lot of the training, the physical training that goes on in the UFC or just mixed martial arts in general. But I'm really curious about sort of the mental side of things. Like, how do you prepare mentally going into a fight, especially maybe even coming off of a loss? Like, how do you get yourself mentally prepared to go into the octagon?
Yeah, it's tricky. You know, especially because with the guys I fight, like I haven't fought somebody like Connor that you know, did a lot of build up to the fight and
Right.
talked a lot of trash and stuff. So there's never really been any animosity or hatred towards my opponent. But yeah, I've definitely never had a problem, you know, turning the switch on when I get in the ring.
Sure.
But yeah, I think for the mental aspect of it is leading up to the fight. I think guys think about the fight not necessarily too much, but that's where the nerves will kind of get you and eat away at you is leading up to the fight.
Yeah.
So I think that's where, you know, a lot of the mental aspect comes in. Then cutting weight is very difficult mentally. And then obviously in the fight, it's you know, anybody can be the hammer is what they say. Anybody can beat somebody up. So it doesn't take any mental toughness
Right.
to beat somebody up. But the real mental toughness comes in, you know, when you fall a little bit behind, you get a little bit beat up, or
Sure.
you get really tired. That's where it takes the toughness, and it's something you basically have to train through training martial arts. Like when you're in the gym and you're wrestling and
Sure.
you're training through that tiredness,
Right.
then you experience it and you learn how to push yourself almost beyond what your body can physically do, because there's some times where your body's shutting down, your muscles are
Right.
shutting down, but you can't give up because you know your training partners are still pushing you. So
Sure.
I think that's where you learn the most about that drive.
You're
and,
developing the mental toughness through the actual physical training itself then.
Yeah.
Interesting. Going back to the hype and all that kind of stuff though, like, is Dana, like, you've met with Dana White,
Yeah.
I would assume. So is that what he's looking for? Is he saying, like, listen, go out there and hype this thing, or just be you?
Yeah, he's never.
Because guys like Conor McGregor or Dana White's wet dream, right? He just goes out, does his thing, and he just sits there and signs the checks.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like Connor makes the UFC and Dana White a lot of money.
Yeah.
Anytime I've talked to Dana or he's come back and like talked to all the fighters and stuff,
Yeah.
he never really says anything about the build up to the fight or try and be entertaining. You know, outside the octagon, everything he focuses on is, you know, just try and, you know, put on a great fight.
Right.
He
wants a good fight.
Yeah,
right?
and he's always like, you know, we do 3 bonuses, so you know, if nobody's put on a, you know, bonus winning fight before you, make sure you go out and you try and take it, and you know, be real exciting in there and fight exciting. But yeah, as far as build up to the fight, he's never really said anything about that.
Okay. But okay, and going into those bonuses then, so you're coming off of a loss in Vegas to Billy Quarantillo. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's what we'll say. I don't know what it is.
Whatever.
Or something.
Billy, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Really, who gives a fuck?
But you're coming off of the fight of the night. That's one of the bonuses, I guess, right?
It is a bonus. I didn't get any bonuses.
Right,
So
okay.
we didn't. I don't know who got the bonuses. I think Michelle Watterson got fight of the night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I read that wrong. Anyway. But, okay, but...
Oh, there was a lot of people on social media saying that it should have been.
Oh,
remember
okay,
reading
that's
that.
what it
Yeah.
was then.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Because it was like, even though in the end it was a loss, like, it was a good fight. Like,
Yeah.
you guys both did really well. Like,
Yeah. Left it all in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have anything left. You know,
You came out hot in the first round.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the way I trained. But in training, I was able to keep it up for, you know, 4 or 5 rounds. So maybe it was the weight cut, maybe it was something like that that affected my cardio. But yeah, I mean, definitely we both went and you know, gave it our all, and you know, he caught me in the end there. You know, I came out for that 3rd round. I remember I stood up, I got off the stool, I was like, okay. I stood up. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to stand up. So I stood up. I was like, okay, I'm just going to circle until I regain, catch my second wind or something. Then I tried to move my feet. My feet just weren't listening. So I was like, okay. So I tried to lift my arms up.
Right.
Couldn't lift my arms up. And I just saw him start at the other end of the cage. He walked towards me, and I saw him swinging, and he punched me in the face, and that was it.
Caught you with a lucky one.
Well, it was just nothing. I saw it coming, and I just couldn't get my hands up. I couldn't move my legs. I was just so exhausted.
Right.
And I'm assuming it must have been from the weight cut. 145 is a big cut for me.
Right.
And the whole training camp, I felt great. I had some of the most energy I've ever had. I performed the best against my training partners. So there's really no reason why, I wasn't able to keep up the same pace as the first round.
So what weight are you walking around at naturally then? If you have to cut to 145,
you
used to fight in lightweight too.
Yeah, right? I've done some fights at 155.
That's lightweight, and then featherweight's 145.
Yeah, and usually I can walk anywhere. Usually around 180, roughly. If I take some time off or I'm out of training, maybe I'll get a little heavier. But yeah, usually if I'm training full time and eating comfortably, maybe 178, 180.
180 down to 145.
That's fucking crazy, man.
How long I've been trying to lose 35 pounds. Well, trying.
We're all trying.
Trying as hard as a kid while stuffing chips and beer
let's have
in my
another
face.
beer.
Speaking of which, we should take a break soon. I'm almost empty.
Oh, are you? What part of the weight cut sucks?
The diet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not being able to, or seeing like a Big Mac on TV, and you're like, "Fuck, I want that Big Mac."
Yeah, and like I'm not a seafood guy, but I'll see like a Red Lobster ad, and I'm man, I bet you that tastes so good. And then I'll do the weigh-in, I eat some food, and then I'll see it again. I'm like, that's disgusting.
You'd think being deprived of food would make you angry enough to go and fight, and I would fight anybody if I was hungry enough. Sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there you go. When you're hungry, is what they say, right?
Right.
A hungry fighter. So
what kind of diet are you following then when you're cutting weight, or when even just in general?
So especially for fight camps and stuff, I work with one of my sponsors in Huntsville, the Sport Lab. So he builds my nutrition plan. And then for this last fight, I had another one of my sponsors, the Cooler Bag Company, and they actually made the food for me. So they worked with the Sport Lab. He sent them, my weekly plan, and they made the food for me. So it made everything super easy for me.
Okay,
cool.
That's interesting story. We can edit out me flipping pages and stuff, right?
I don't know.
We have all this tech in here. I should get like an iPad.
That's not on a different audio track. I tried putting all of our mics on a different audio track, and my computer kept crashing. So I said, "Fuck that. Right. We're just doing 2."
So you have 17 fights as a professional, right?
Yep.
And
how many amateur fights you got?
I did 10 amateur.
17, 27.
There you go.
MMA fights.
Yeah. And then I did another
4
10
in UFC.
And I did another 10 amateur kickboxing, and then I did like 100 jiu-jitsu kind of grappling matches.
Right. Like jiu-jitsu or Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have 4 fights in the UFC then?
Yeah.
Okay. With 1 win, 3 losses.
Yeah.
Last one was a tough one. That probably, and actually you had a fight scheduled earlier this year, but you had some visa issues?
Yeah. So I took a fight on 2 weeks' notice in June. So I did everything, cut the weight, got down to weight, and then on the Monday before the fight, the UFC messaged us and said they just weren't able to get me a visa in time. So I don't know if it was because of COVID.
Right.
Maybe everything's backed up with the government.
Right.
Or maybe just the 2 weeks in general wasn't enough time to put through the visa. But yeah, they weren't able to get me down there. So I ended up taking some time off after that, and relaxing a bit, which made the cut for this last one a little bit harder. But
right. So it's been about a year since you last fought in the UFC. What's next for Kyle Nelson? What are you waiting for a phone call, or do you reach out to Dana and say, I'm ready to go? Obviously, you need some time to recover from your previous fight, but
yeah. So I had a 4-fight contract with the UFC, but at the end of my last fight, Dana White came back and after the fight and said great fight and good stuff and all that, and we asked him if we'd be doing a new contract, and he said, yeah, he's going to get me some more fights and stuff.
Great.
So most of the UFC staff is in Abu Dhabi right now in Fight Island.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah, so when they come back,
Speaking of COVID.
yeah, I think when they come back, we'll finish the contract negotiations and stuff. And, yeah, I mean, I'd love to fight before the end of the year if I could fight it, December. If not, I think January is a good timeline. We're going to be going up to 155 for the next fight. But I don't really need to add any muscle or anything.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do pretty much everything the same thing that we did for 145, just cut less weight.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you're going up a weight class. Is it because are you targeting somebody? Is there somebody that you're looking to fight next?
No, it wasn't, for a specific opponent. It was just literally with the last fight, I did so much cardio. Like I did an hour run every day, an hour bike ride every day for the 5 weeks leading up to the fight. So my cardio was in great shape, but in the fight, I didn't have any cardio. So it couldn't be in the preparation for the fight.
You just feel like you
Feel it's the weight
perform
cut.
better
Yeah, I
at
think-
155 then.
I think, yeah, cutting that much weight, my body just didn't have enough time to recover
Sure.
by fight time.
Okay.
Because even the Wednesday before the fight, I did 3 rounds on the pads and then a round of wrestling. So that's like a hard 20 minutes of training.
Yeah.
And, I felt great, didn't feel tired, felt strong. And then the Thursday and the Friday, we cut the weight and weighed in Friday. And then by Saturday morning, I felt okay again. But then again, after like the second minute in the fight, I'd lost everything. My arms were dead, could barely breathe. And it was something I'd never felt that exhausted before in my life. So it didn't make sense.
Okay.
Because I've done hill sprints and I've done everything and I've trained extremely hard and I've never been that tired. So it must have been something to do with, my cardiovascular system or something got jeopardized or something in the weight cut and just wasn't able to recover in time.
Yeah.
Is the UFC okay with you going up to 155, or do you get to choose that?
I think
Or is
I
that-
get to choose
Or
it.
is that part of the contract negotiation?
Oh, yeah.
No, because when I first signed on, my first UFC fight, I took on 3 days notice, and it was at
in Toronto.
155.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the first fight was at lightweight, and then after that, I went down to featherweight.
Okay, so that first fight, how did you feel after that first round?
So the first fight I took at 155,
Yeah, but it was on 3 days' notice.
3 days
so-
notice,
Yeah,
and
so that's not a good example either.
no, because I was 178, and then they called, so then I had the fight was 3 days notice, so I had 2 days because the weigh-in's the day before.
All right.
So I had 2 days to lose that
2 days to sit in a sauna.
23 pounds to lose in 2
Holy
days.
shit.
Oh, my God.
I'm happy when I lose 3 pounds overnight when I stand on the scale.
I know, right?
This fucking guy loses like 27 pounds in 2 days. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So you think you're going to feel better, though, at 155? Like you said you fought at 155. Just that one fight or other
No,
fights?
I did a fight in Romania at
Yeah.
155.
How'd you feel in that one?
I felt great.
Yeah.
Again, it only lasted 1 round. So it's hard to tell if my cardio would have been affected later on, but I'm pretty sure I felt great.
Okay.
And would have felt great. So
Cool.
Very cool.
Gonna go for a smoke? Do you want to do a break or you got more
Why
questions?
don't we do a quick break before we go? We have Kyle the Monster Nelson in the studio. We have some swag here, and we've got a bunch of toques. We've got a hat here, and we'd like to maybe do a giveaway. Maybe we'll figure out something that we can do. Maybe the first 2 people to comment on the Facebook post or something like that. We'll
For
mail you
first
out.
comment, no, let's do. What day of the month is your birthday?
April 20th.
April 20th. April. Okay, so 4th comment on YouTube
Okay.
gets some swag, and we'll go 20th comment on Facebook gets something.
Okay.
You want to do
Sounds
that?
good.
Okay, there you go.
There we go. 420.
420.
And on that note, I think we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
And now, back to the Renovating Life Podcast.
hard man, more angles of curve. You mess with me, you get what you deserve.
That's a big cut.
Mister, don't cross that
Fight's
line.
over. Referee's called
And
it.
don't judge me by my faded boots, ripped blue jeans and backwood roots. If you don't want to get with me, that's fine. I'm a hard man, is what I am. You'll never see me cry. I'm a hard man, is what I stay till the day I die. If you need me, I'll be in those hills, the little log cabins got no friends, but it keeps me warm and dry. I'll be waiting, you'll knock on the door, yeah, you're gonna come, that's for sure. Cause I ain't like a
Big elbow wobbles him. One big right hand. Kyle the Monster Nelson. Ends it early. The crowd is stunned. Big performance for the Canadian in Mexico.
Well, a hard man is what I stay till the day I die.
Yeah. Kyle, the Monster Nelson in studio. We are super excited to have you here. And thanks again for coming in. So we talked in the first half all about your fight game, but you're also a real estate investor.
Yep.
Where do you invest? Where do you have property?
So everything's in Huntsville right now, where I'm from. But yeah, I mean, I got interested in real estate investing like 10 years ago. Like I started researching it, really getting into it right around the time I turned professional in MMA. And me and my wife, we bought our first house, 2011. And when we were looking for our first house, we were looking for a place we were able to rent out, you know, the basement or something like that, or an in-law suite. So that was my first introduction to it. And it was pretty rough. We just kind of bought it.
You took action. You just jumped in.
Yeah, and it was a single-family home, so we sectioned it off and stuff.
What do you mean you sectioned it off?
So in the beginning, there was stairs, so we built a wall with a door. Because when we first started renting, I rented to friends.
How'd that go?
Not good. Not good. Like one of the first rules is never rent to friends or family. And and I rented to some friends, didn't work out, lost some money. Rented to some more friends, lost out, I lost some money. So it took me a little bit to learn that lesson. But and then after as soon as we bought that house, I went out and bought like every book I could find on real estate investing.
Okay.
Which one was your favorite? Let's plug a book.
I'm trying to remember them all. There was like a series of Canadian real estate investing, and
Don Campbell.
I think so. The first one I read was Canadian real estate investing tax tips and stuff like that. But yeah, then there was a whole bunch of them. So I read all those, started getting interested. I read like Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Right. Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah, so a bunch of books like that. And then
that's what got me started too, actually. I think a lot of investors can relate to that, the Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, and so then I gave it to my brother. Now, my brother's younger, and at the time, he was living at home, had a factory job, so he was making a lot of money. And I'm like, you're kind of in the perfect position to start this stuff. I think a lot of people, they want to move out of home as soon as they can, and then they start, renting or something, and maybe they don't have the best job, and then they start falling behind, with that debt. And then once you're out on your own, it's hard to catch up and get back ahead, and you kind of fall in that rat race, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I talked to my brother. He had a good job, living at home, so no rent. And I was fighting and being super frugal with my money and stuff. So
you save all that money not eating.
Yeah, exactly. I don't eat anything. But yes, and then in 2016, me and him partnered up, and we were able to buy our first income property.
Okay, so you talk about it not being a good idea to rent to friends and family, but investing with your family ended up working out okay.
So far, so good.
So
So
far.
fingers crossed.
Okay,
You're
good.
pretty tight with your brother, I guess.
Yeah.
Good. No, good for you. So how many properties do you own now?
So right now, me and my brother, we own 2 houses,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have my house with my wife where we rent out the basement.
Are these cottages? And follow-up question, do you have anything on a lake that I can rent next year?
Nothing on a lake yet, but so we have the first rental we bought was a single family home, but we converted it into a dual rental. So we have a 2-bedroom in the basement, 2-bedroom in the upstairs,
Nice.
and then so we got that in 2016, and then in 2019 we got the second home, which is a single family home. Generally something I wanted to stay away from. I find it hard to make money on a single family home. Generally, when you rent it out, it covers your mortgage and maybe some of the bills. So there isn't a lot of monthly income. Now, it may be a good investment
In
to
terms
sell.
of appreciation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But I'm, being young and needing, monthly cash flow,
Sure.
I like to try and stick with,
Like a
duplexes
duplex,
or
yeah.
triplexes or
Yeah.
stuff like that. But my brother had found this one, and his idea behind it was kind of on a double lot. So it's a single family home, and we were able to rent it out to the point where we do have, about $400 a month coming in off of it,
Okay.
which was,
Net
I think-
after all expenses.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's that. I think that's pretty
That's
good.
pretty good. Like
Yeah.
if you're
Not
just
bad.
renting it to one person, right?
Right.
Yeah, for a single family home, definitely.
Right.
But what we're in the process of right now is dividing or sectioning off the extra land to it, and then what we're going to do is we'll either sell it or maybe try and build something on it. But the value of that land is it's worth double our down payment on the house. So we're getting double our down payment back
Smart.
in like less than a year, and it's turning a monthly profit too.
Right. So talk about your process then in deciding that these properties were good investments, and was severing the land part of the game plan when you were looking at the property initially?
Yeah. So with this property, the only thing that made it make sense, especially in my mind, being a single family home, was the land beside it. Being able to either section it and sell it and just get that money back, and turn it over real quick, or there's still the possibility of building a duplex, from the ground up.
Sure.
And obviously building is generally cheaper than buying. So especially in Huntsville, most of my family comes from some sort of construction background. So
Okay.
hopefully we could get it put up, and between me and my brother and my
Yeah.
family, we could do a lot of the work and make it really cheap. So yeah, that was the only reason we went in on this single family home.
Oh, nice.
That process of severing land.
And Hamilton is shit.
Well, I was going to say, what
It's fucking
what has your
shit.
experience been?
It's been tricky. So we need, I believe it's 20 feet of frontage. So it's tricky because we've got a culvert there.
Minimum 20 feet.
Yeah.
Like 20 feet from the road, or from like what the city calls a
Width.
road allowance?
Frontal.
Frontal, yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
like on the road.
So for example, you have like a 40-foot wide lot. Technically, you could sever that, as an example, into 220s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
so
really?
I
In
believe that's
Huntsville? No shit, eh?
I believe that's the number we're working with.
Yeah.
But there's a culvert which is lowered, so we can't put a driveway right there.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to put a driveway on a funny angle to get it between the culvert and a hydro pole.
Yeah.
And so for that, we had to talk to the district, because the road isn't a town road, it's a district road or something
Okay.
like that. So luckily my brother's been in Huntsville, and he's been, talking with the people from the town, then talking to the people from the district.
Oh, okay.
And he's gone through a bunch of loopholes, and we weren't sure we were even going to be able to do it, even though
Yeah.
we had the land, because we didn't have the the driveway allowance. But it looks like we've figured everything out, and everything's going to go through now.
Oh, good.
For a lot of us aspiring investors out there, people that have never done it before, there's a lot of fear associated with the unknown. You know, I don't know how to build. I don't know anything about real estate. You know, a lot of people will get caught up in this analysis paralysis thing. They read 1,000 books but never take action. Knowing what you know now, going through the process, would you have still made that decision, knowing what you know now, to purchase these properties?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I believe both these properties. I mean, the first property, it worked out amazing. We were just able to get a really cheap house that we were able to turn into a duplex to turn a really good profit. And this second house, it got a little iffy in the middle there, but
Right.
it looks like we're going to be able to section off this extra land.
Right.
And even on its own, it's still turning a profit, not as much as a duplex or a multifamily home.
Right.
But I think it's still a positive.
What's stopping you from converting it into a duplex?
It's small.
Is it?
It's I believe it's 750 square feet, and there's no basement.
What about going up? Have you thought about that?
No.
No?
Going up sounds like a lot of money.
No, it's not as much as you think it is.
Yeah.
It's worth investigating. And
Yeah,
I mean, it
yeah,
depends
I'd
on the lot
investi-
size too. You might be able to do a second suite, build another slab on grade, property, right?
Yeah. So look into that.
Yeah.
Text your brother tonight to research second suites.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And
Awesome.
it's kind of a relatively new thing in Ontario, and it's being trialed in different neighborhoods here
I
in
think Ward 1, 2, 3, and 4.
right, in Hamilton. And basically what that means is, say you have a single family lot, but it's a big enough lot where you say you could build a structure that's the size of a garage, for example, but you could build that as a second suite, like another property on the property.
Yeah.
Right. So that might be worth investigating too, with the city, since you're over there anyway, talking about everything.
Well, and that's something actually that me and my wife have looked into at our own home. It's we have like 0.99 of an acre.
Oh,
okay. That's a lot of room.
So we got a lot of room behind.
Yeah.
So we've been talking with can't remember what it's called, but like not a developer, but a municipal planner or something.
Yeah.
About seeing if we can put in, an add-on or something. And she's kind of looking in like modular homes. If we could just buy a couple modular homes and attach them or something like that, or hook them up that way. So I'm not sure if that's the best bet yet, or if we should just build a couple units. But we'd like to try and get another like 4 units behind us, and then we basically have a 6-plex.
Oh,
and
that's
I mean,
awesome.
this is
Yeah.
and I mean this
That's
type-
ambitious. I like it.
Well, it's ambitious,
Yeah.
but what's also great about this too is the versatility of investing in real estate.
Yeah.
I invest in stocks too. I trade options, and we're going to have a guy, Omar Khan, on here to talk about investing in options, which is also a great strategy as well. But what I love about real estate is the versatility, and you can buy a property, and you can flip a property, which we have experience doing. We can duplex a property. Maybe you have extra land that you can sever off. You have control over the asset, and I think that's what's important for people to realize too, is you have control over it. And in terms of the investment, you're focusing a lot on the cash flow, which is great, but you also have the mortgage pay down to consider, and you also have the appreciation of the property. So when you factor those three things in, your return on investment is crazy. I mean, I have a property. I have a duplex on the East Mountain right now. My annual ROI is 85%. Where are you going to get 85% ROI when you factor in cash on cash return, mortgage pay down, and appreciation of the property? I mean, East 44 alone, one of our other duplexes that we just finished, appreciated 50 to 75 grand without doing anything to it.
Oh, yeah.
Since we purchased it earlier this year,
Okay,
pre-COVID.
I see what
Right?
you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. I mean, I think that's a good lead in right there. Steve and I, we're just wrapping up a couple of projects right now, and there's, we've got our challenges every week, and I think this is a good way to go into our new segment that we like to call In the Trenches.
Let's find out what the guys have been up to this week in their real estate adventures. This is In the Trenches.
So we just wrapped up 2 projects. We have a legal duplex conversion going on, but we also just listed a
Shamrock.
flip.
Yeah.
Shamrock, 17
Stop
Shamrock.
saying flip. Fucking
Right.
hate that word.
Right. Okay. So we've renovated and we are selling. I mean, we don't like the word flip because it seems to have I don't know. It feels cheap.
Yeah. To
And
me,
we don't do that.
To me, that word just represents corners were cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do renovation projects.
Actually, I want to start calling our projects resto mods.
Resto mods.
Resto
I like
mods.
that.
It's a car term, like people buy a
Right.
75 Corvette, but they put a modern engine in it, so it's like it's been resto modded.
Right.
You know.
So Steve spends a lot more time on these projects physically himself. What are some of the challenges that we face this week on? Even the past few weeks on Shamrock.
On Shamrock. Fuck. There's too many.
Well, I mean, just getting the property ready. So
Yeah.
I had a. I'm all about deadlines, and I want to get the project done. And I mean,
yeah,
it's
like,
always a race to the finish.
Yeah,
right?
like finishing day. That was
Right.
fucking crazy.
I call it game day.
The game day. I
Right.
called it fucking fucked with my head day.
Steve was all stressed out.
You're talking about your mental game and fighting. I was at my mental break point on game day.
Steve wasn't looking good. I was
Oh, no.
smiling and laughing the whole
No,
time.
I didn't feel good. I didn't look good. The stagers started yelling at me because I was still in the house. I was tying up
when you
some loose
hire a
ends with,
Russian
like,
stager, she's
yeah.
going to yell at you.
Oh yeah, she fucking
Stage
yelled
and
at me.
styling.
Yeah.
Tatiana did an amazing job. She knocked
Oh,
it out of
she
the
was
park. We should show
awesome.
Kyle some of our
She was
pictures of this
awesome.
place. But it turned out fantastic. But I mean, there's a million and one challenges that we're going through the construction process. But one of the challenges that we're facing right now is finding another property.
Oh, it's yeah.
The market right now
The
in
market's
Hamilton is
crazy.
completely insane. And so when we're analyzing properties, we're using last month's numbers,
Yeah.
right? And because it's going so crazy right now, how do you determine what's going to be a good investment, even when purchasing East 44th? So we bought that when?
In March. We closed
March.
March 27th or something.
What also happened in February and March?
COVID.
Yeah. So here we are. We just wrapped up a resto mod that we
Yeah,
sold.
thank you.
And we just took possession. We just purchased this other property, and we're like, oh no,
Yeah.
what did we do?
Shit is shutting down. Like even our contractor had he had a tough time getting shit. Drywall, floor, even just lumber.
Right.
Actually,
Supplies
lumber
diminished,
in the-
not just on toilet paper.
In the trenches, here we go. So our contractor Johnny has quoted a job for someone, but he quoted the job using last month's numbers on lumber. You know how much 2x4 costs today? Have you been to Home Depot lately?
No, I heard it's going up.
$7.97 for 1 8-foot 2x4.
Right. So you have all this extra land. Start growing trees.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that looks like
Just
a good
throw some
investment.
seeds
Yeah.
out there in the field.
Yeah.
Crack a beer. Who's your sponsor?
Highlander Brew.
Highlander Brew Company. So we need to get you out there with just one of those beer hats and just start spreading seeds out there.
Yeah.
You'll be a millionaire. Right?
Yeah, so what else? Oh, the pot lights downstairs. I didn't tell you this one. I ordered pot lights online. So have you ever been in one of those older homes that have like those 5 or 6 inch style pot lights with like that big flat bulb you got to screw in? Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, there's no companies really that make like a retrofit. That the sleek LED look, the flat pot lights.
Yeah.
So I found some on Amazon. It said retrofit for 5 to 6 inch pot lights. I get them in. I open the box at Shamrock on game day. You call it game day. I call it fucked up day. It all started with those pot lights. I open the box
You're
and I'm
still
looking
so
at this
new.
pot light and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This is huge. It was 8 inches.
You got bamboozled.
Yeah, thanks. So, open this pot light. Now I'm on my phone trying to look for retrofit pot lights. I go to Rona because Rona's the closest. Nothing. I go to Lowe's because I don't really like Home Depot. I go to Lowe's. Nothing. So I'm like, fuck, here we go. I got to go to Home Depot. They actually made them. But instead of being $12 per fixture, I paid like $47 per pot light. I needed 3 of them.
Wow.
On game day.
There's always that last minute scramble for everything, right? I mean, even today, the house is listed. I have showings, and Peter's over there. Johnny had surgery.
Yeah.
His butt's a little sore right now.
He keeps telling me it's leaking. It's so disgusting.
I know it's leaking. Ask me how I know how, because he's wearing gray pants the other day.
Oh, was he? Oh, so bad. He had
butt surgery.
A lot of old people say, don't sit on cold concrete and stuff. You'll like fuck up your ass and shit. Well, that's what happened. He basically ended up with a fissure. So he had to get it cauterized. That's what happened.
Producer Greg is not enjoying this conversation. And he's done. We need a new producer. Anyone out there that's
But yeah.
Keep going.
Where was I going? I got fucking lost with the ass story.
That's okay.
We're at pot lights.
But I mean, so like, I mean, today's
the fucking switch covers, like the electrical covers.
Right.
So get this. In the morning as well, I know I ran out of like for like the plug covers and light switches and shit. I ran out of my normal stock that I usually have. So I go around the house and count what I need. But I counted what I needed with the front door open. I go to the store, buy what I need, come back, I start putting shit on. I'm like, why am I missing one double fucking cover, double light switch cover? I go to my list, then I go to my bill. I'm like, okay, I bought enough, but I'm fucking missing one. It's because I had the fucking door open and against it. So then the picture guy comes. So between pictures, I'm moving this double gang fucking cover from the front door to the bathroom downstairs to the bathroom upstairs to the fucking hallway.
So he could take pictures.
Yeah, so he could take pictures. I don't know, in the trenches.
We're working on the fly there. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, is there anything else that so the pictures turned out great. If you're listening to this, hopefully we release this before we're taking offers in 17 Shamrock. But I mean, it turned out amazing. Actually, you know what? I had the amazing opportunity. This is the first time on any project where I had the former owner come through. So I had the opportunity to show the previous owner of this house what we did to it. And man, oh man, what an experience that was. Her mind was just blown. This is the original owner of this house.
When was that house built? 62? 67?
Yeah, 67.
67.
And just mind blown, right? I mean, our team did a good job, and that's what it's about. It's assembling an amazing team, people that have the right attitude and, put all of their energy into the project. And we really appreciate Johnny and his team. They did
a great job. Okay, so tell us about your shirt there.
Yeah, so this is Thirsty Fox Pub, one of my sponsors in Toronto, Ontario.
Beautiful.
And you have some other sponsors there too, then.
Yeah. So I have, Thirsty Fox, obviously, Sire Biosciences, Fusion Protein, Moose Delaney's in Huntsville, the Sport Lab, Sheath Underwear, Muskoka Renos, Cooler Meal Management Bags, Urban Beard, and obviously Highlander Brew Crow.
Awesome. And where can people find you on social media?
So yeah, I'm on Facebook at Kyle the Monster Nelson. I'm on Instagram at the Monster705 _UFC, and on Twitter at the _ Monster.
Awesome. Thanks again for coming in, Kyle. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And until next time, my name is Dan Carrol. For producer Greg Hnatyshyn, Steve Kopac, and Kyle the Monster Nelson, urging you to go out there and seek opportunity, seek discomfort, and work like hell.
For more information on investing in real estate, visit battlefieldrei.com and follow us on Instagram at BattlefieldREI Inc. and at Renovating Hamilton. Music for the show provided by josephmcdade.com and voiceover by Mike Dawson.